We're driving a 2024 Mazda Mazda3. It is a redundantly named compact sedan.
Here's how much it costs.
Coming up, our daughter is still many years away from driving, but would this be a good first car for Kiddo? But first, interior.
The interior is on the simple side, but very tasteful. I particularly like these metallic accents and the stitching. What's really elevating the interior is how many soft materials there are. I do wish they had used a different material here. This shiny plastic is showing a lot of fingerprints and dust and scratches. It's like there was a little cat fight there.
In terms of functionality, we've got a good amount of center console space for a vehicle this size.
I like that this armrest moves forward and back because there are charge ports here, and you can still access your phone while using the armrest.
There is also a phone zone up here with a wireless phone charging pad, at least in our trim, but it is blocked by the two cup holders if you have cups in them. With tall bottles, there may be a little interference between them and the seat heater.
You have to choose a hydrated face or a hot.
I'm going to choose the hot.
Clearly.
Did you remember that I'm back here?
Now we do.
Door storage is a little bit tight, but you can squeeze a bottle in there as long as it's of modest size. I find the front seats to be fairly comfortable, except in the shoulder region, there's a little bit of constriction. Now that does help hold me in place.
You have broader shoulders than I do, but even I am experiencing that.
Behind my ideal front seat position, there's just enough clearance for my knees and barely enough clearance for my head. I'm 5 foot 10 inches tall with a long torso. Kiddo, how do you fit back there?
I fit good enough.
What about in the middle position?
The foot space is not great.
And this is what I look seated in the middle position. Don't do that to me. Oh, and Kiddo, any issues getting in and out of the vehicle?
Not really.
As for cargo space, we've got 13.2 cubic feet to work with.
The cargo area is very simple.
Which I don't hold against the vehicle. It's a perfectly reasonable place to put stuff.
And in the underfloor storage area, there's a spare tire.
You know I love that. There are rear releases from the cargo area, but unless you have extremely long arms, you're probably gonna have to walk around the side of the vehicle to flip them down. And even then, you may need to motor the front seat forward to make room for them. It is a wide pass-through, by the way, but the seats don't go particularly flat. What about getting the booster seat installed?
There are plastic covers over the latch points which easily move out of the way. Our booster easily snapped in. I said easy twice. That's how easy it was.
Wow, that's pretty easy.
What will not be easy is fitting a rear-facing car seat back there.
Moving to an unambiguous positive for the Mazda3, safety. It is 5 stars in all categories by the NHTSA testing, and then it is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. There's also a full suite of active driver assist technology standard on every Mazda3. There are 8 airbags, and newly standard for 2024 is blind spot warning and also a rear occupant alert system that uses door logic to let you know if you've maybe put something back there and forgotten it. Family, what do you think? Is the Mazda Mazda3 family friendly?
For a small family like ours, you could definitely make this work. But based on the overall size of the vehicle, we can't give it the family-friendly label.
Rear window test. All the way down.
Cybertruck.
Armrest test. Driving the comfortable 8 and 4, I have easy access to the inboard and outboard armrest. Good squish factor. I'm gonna go 85% inboard, 85% outboard. Moving onward to style.
The Mazda Mazda3 looks like a Mazda. It really should, since it says Mazda in the name twice.
Yeah, it's so Mazda looking, they should add a third Mazda to the name. The Mazda Mazda3 by Mazda.
I know it's the older style of Mazda, which I kind of prefer. I really like the rear, the way it curves in. It gives it a lot of dimensionality.
You mentioned the rear. The trunk release is on the underside of the emblem, and that may not be immediately obvious when you walk up to your Mazda3.
Like, some people might never figure it out.
One new item for 2024 is a carbon turbo trim. It's just a carbon trim, which is basically like some dark trim on the outside, but turbocharged. We're driving the sedan version of the Mazda3, but they also sell a hatchback, which adds about 7 cubic feet of cargo space for $1,100 to $1,300. I like that you can get your Mazda3 with the shape and functionality you prefer. Similarly, Flying Eyes Eyewear offers unique style and functionality. When I'm in the helicopter, I like these Kestrel aviators, but when I'm driving, I prefer these Osprey sunglasses with these nifty green lenses. And if I didn't have 20/20 vision, I would rock the hell out of these Otis ophthalmic frames, and check these out. Magnetic tinted lenses. Take that, Mr. Sun. If you're in the market for eyewear and you want to help support our channel, you can learn more about Flying Eyes Eyewear at the link in the description below. Yeah, screw you, Mr. Sun. Despite getting on in years, we're fans of the Mazda 3 style, but what do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Also, thank you! Thank you for supporting us however you choose to support us if you do. Like, subscribe, maybe join our channel, leave a kind or thoughtful comment on one of our videos. However you support us, if you do choose to support us, thank you. Let's move to In Motion. Hitting a bump right here. The Mazda 3 absorbed that bump very well, doubly so because we have a torsion beam rear suspension. That is not the most sophisticated way to suspend a car, and yet I think the Mazda 3 rides really well. It's got that taut but comfortable quality that we see from Mazda. As I turn here, we lack the speedy steering ratio of older Mazda 3s, and though I like a vehicle that has a little bit more playful driving dynamics, this is the kind of stability that encourages you to nudge up against the vehicle's limits. For power, we've got the turbocharged version of the 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder engine that Mazda offers. I'm doing 28 miles an hour and I'm going to floor it. Whee! Yep, revs pick up quick and then that power pulls us right in. I also like how this thing sounds. In our experience, the base engine can feel a little lethargic, especially because it's paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. There aren't really enough ratios there by modern standards to keep the base engine in its happy rev range. With the turbocharged engine, there's enough torque, even though you've got big spaces between those gears, it can still pull strong. We also have paddle shifters if you want to be a little bit more involved with the shifting action. Especially with the turbocharged engine, the Mazda 3 drives with a level of sophistication that is reminiscent of more upscale vehicles. If you want a little bit more eagerness from the powertrain, you can also put it into sport mode here. It just gave me the downshift. We're ready for action. Action. Whee. That's what I think about driving the Mazda 3, but what does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. Leave with whatever haste you can muster.
That's great off-the-line acceleration.
We're in a windy section here. How's the steering feel?
I like how it steers, but it is a little bit heavy, which kills me to admit.
That heavy feel is sometimes a proxy for a driving engagement. Like, oh, I'm really involved with this. But for you, it just feels heavy?
Yes.
As you're turning, are you feeling any fun?
I would qualify this as more reassuring than fun.
Visibility thoughts?
Visibility is good all around with the exception of over my left shoulder. The belt line is pretty high.
I would believe your criticism there, but that is your right shoulder. So credibility went out your left window. Oh, wait, no.
I made a mistake.
Well, duh. Everybody makes mistakes. What? It's true.
Although, child, most people's mistakes do not wind up in YouTube videos.
True.
The belt line is a little bit on the high side.
We are almost up to our shoulders in belt line, although I would say that it's a little less immersive than that CX-30 we drove not that long ago. And then what about size?
I really liked the size of this. When I was driving through the grocery store parking lot, I wasn't worried about running into anything. Very maneuverable, easy to park.
Contributing to that easy parkability is a fairly tight 37.3 foot turning circle. Oh, I know this is your time too, but I failed to mention when I was driving, one weird thing I noticed, a mechanical whine. You don't notice it here, but on the freeway, it is not engine speed dependent, it is vehicle speed dependent. And I was like, it kind of sounds like gear whine. I don't know what that is. A little kind of noise. Odd. If we were in the market for a compact sedan, are there any game killers that would keep you from driving a Mazda 3? Sorry, a Mazda 3 by Mazda?
No game killers here.
Great, I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Let's move on to remarks. Infotainment. The standard screen is 8.8 inches. It comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on higher trims, wired on the lower trims. And now new for 2024 on turbocharged models is a 10.25 inch screen like we've got here. If you want embedded navigation, by the way, you have to go to the highest Premium Plus trim. Unlike previous Mazda 3s, you can now touch with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone connectivity. If you're in the native interface, you still need to use the little wheel down here, but that touch functionality, if you just have an icon that you want to push, is really appreciated.
Even though I usually have trouble with a knob, the way the menus are laid out, it's very simple.
Kiddo also noted something when we got it. He said, "What's with that clock?" Just tap the home button when you're already at home, then it pulls up that nice clean clock interface. If you do a long press with the home button, it'll go back and forth between the native interface and and CarPlay. As the highest Premium Plus trim that we're testing here, we also have the 360-degree camera system. I wouldn't mind if that 360 view took up a little bit more of the screen real estate, because it's kind of small, but extra visibility is appreciated. In front of me, I've got a 7-inch LCD display, and then one more peculiarity, as we've noted in other Mazdas, when you turn on the Mazda 3, it immediately starts beeping at you if you don't already have your seatbelt on. It doesn't matter if the drive selector is in park, it just starts beeping at you. The world is cacophonous enough as is without the vehicle screaming at me needlessly. Now, in the beginning of the video, we posed a question. Would this make a good first vehicle for our daughter when she drives? Well, let's look at the fundamentals. Kiddo, do you like how this car looks?
Yeah.
Do you like having a car that's safe?
Yeah.
The Mazda 3 is also competitively priced. The powertrain has been around for a while, so it's proven.
And it's available in a manual transmission, which I know you would appreciate.
That's a good note. There's something also about the way it drives where it's like kind of fun, but not too fun, that you feel good putting a teenager behind the wheel of it. Especially because of the safety angle. Yeah, I think this would make an excellent choice for Kiddo's first car.
Except for the smell, that made me nauseous immediately.
She doesn't like new car smell. It's okay, by the time you get it, it's going to be very, very used. It'll have somebody else's smell in it.
Thank God.
And now let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's how you open the hood on a Mazda 3. The dipstick is immediately adjacent to where you fill it up with oil, and then over to the left, that's where you add the washer fluid. And now let's talk about engine choices. The base engine is a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder. Front wheel drive is standard, but on the carbon trim and up, you get all-wheel drive. Then there's a turbocharged version of that 2.5 liter that makes more power, especially if you add 93 octane. That turbo engine is paired exclusively with all-wheel drive. If you're thinking about going with the hatchback, you should know that fuel economy drops slightly, but it is offered with a manual transmission on select trims.
Sweetie, will you share our trim recommendation?
I suppose I will. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting in your Mazda 3, but at the lowest possible price. We're going to recommend the S-Select Sport trim. That's one up from the base trim. For an extra $520 on the sedan, it adds niceties like dual zone climate control, leatherette seats, a fold down rear armrest, 18-inch wheels, and the all-important smart key access. If you're ready to buy a Mazda 3 of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to learn what you should pay for a Mazda 3 and what your current car is worth for trade-in. As for competitors, we got names like the Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Hyundai Elantra, and Subaru Impreza. I mentioned we're driving the 2024 Mazda 3. The 2025 version goes on sale in the end of 2024 with a few minor updates. They've added Alexa so that you can use voice commands to activate certain features. Oh, Mazda, I'm hot, and then it'll adjust the temperature. They've also got an enhanced navigation system with over-the-air updates and improved route guidance. Lastly, the base price has dropped a few $100s. That's odd. And also, you can now get the base trim in the hatchback body style. So those are the updates for 2025. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature in the Mazda 3?
The color, which is white, on the outside of the car.
The name of that white is actually fun too. It's Snowflake White Pearl Micah without an H.
We've driven vehicles with a similar looking paint that were much more expensive.
The nice thing about driving luxury cars is that when you get back to normal cars, everything seems cheap. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Mazda Mazda 3. May I have a 5?
Bye, Mazda.
And a 5. And you, come get your high five. And now, please enjoy our AI-generated synopsis song about the redundantly named Mazda Mazda 3.
Mazda's